Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Naija Political Brief. It's a bright new day, wonderful day here in Texas. Greetings to everybody. Thank you for coming in. Um, Today, we just want to probably share current event that is happening in the country. One of which, basically, I think I saw earlier an headline saying that Mr. Peter, let me bring this here, that Mr. Peter Obi has emerged as the NDC sole aspirant. I think um, it was on Pulse News, and also Vanguard also reported it. So we're still looking at the sensitivity of the news. So we'll be watching to see what's going on. But that's the current news out there, that Mr. Peter Obi has emerged as the sole candidate for NDC. I mean, it's a very good feeling. It's a very good news. But we'll just continue to watch the story. We'll continue to watch the news, and we'll see how this whole thing plays out. I mean, we don't have any other option than to have Mr. Peter Obi as the presidential candidate for NDC, because that's what all Nigerians have been looking forward to. So we'll continue to we'll continue to watch and see what the news bring. So just looking forward to this. Is a very good good vibe that Mr. Peter will be emerged as the sole candidate for NDC. Um, but we'll see more story to come, more news as this is unfolding. We'll also see some other news that are unfolding in the country. Because honestly, we cannot afford to meet someone like Mr. Peter Gregory Obi. We cannot afford to not have him as the person that emerges as the um, candidate of NDC. And I just honestly appreciate Senator Seraki Dixon for his gallant effort, all of the things that he's been doing just so that we have a viable opposition to the APC madness, if I may use that word, because honestly, there is no two way about it. The only way to unseat the criminal drug baron is to have a better opposition. And honestly, the only person that can actually unseat the criminals in power today is no other person than Mr. Peter Gregory Obi. He's the most viable among them all. And that news that we're also hearing is the fact that Atiku, I think Sahara News report that Atiku is on bed rest due to illness. So we'll see as all of these stories are unfolding, as all of these news are unfolding. But it's a good feeling that Mr. Peter Obi is been declared as the only sole candidate for the um, NDC ticket. So we'll continue to watch the story. We'll continue to see event as they unfold. Let's keep watching. Let's keep looking. Let's keep the flag flying. And to every obedience out there, to every well-meaning Nigerian out there, keep doing what you're doing, because what you're doing honestly is going a long way. Is actually um, eating the people that don't want us to have a better country. Is eating them. Is eating them raw. Is eating them deep. So let's keep the flag flying. Let's keep the banner flying. Hopefully, we have a better country in our time. I cannot wait for us to have Mr. Peter Gregory Obi. I cannot wait for us to have a better country. And I cannot wait for us to enjoy a good life in Nigeria. I mean, we all know what is happening today in the country. Nothing better is happening. Is from one sad news to another. Is from one bad news to another. And so I will encourage Nigerians, keep doing what you're doing. Keep keep keeping your voice out there. Keep making your voice heard. We cannot afford to lose our country. We cannot afford not to have a better country. And let me just bring here what Vanguard said about this news of Mr. Peter Gregory Obi. Give me 1 second here, guys. Let me bring this here. As Vanguard also reported about this news that Mr. Peter Obi is the sole candidate for NDC, and so it gives a good feeling, it gives a good vibe, it gives a good life, and we hope that we have a better country, we have a better life as soon as this whole thing is made known and made clear to Nigerians. And so Nigerians, I admonish you guys, admonish everyone, tell your family members to go get their PVC, because honestly, we cannot afford to miss it. We cannot afford to lose it. Nigeria is the only country that we have, and we cannot afford to let it go. Let's do our part. Let's do our bit. Let's keep the flag flying for NDC. And NDC, like I said, is a viable option that we have in the country. So as we proceed in this live show today, let me just bring in other videos that happened in the last 72 or 48 hours. Let's see this video.
Now, for a review of what's making the headlines in the papers this morning, as we try to make sense of it and look no further than Yolanda Roberts. Good morning, Yolanda Roberts.
Good morning, Bengashiru. Let's make sense of the headlines indeed. How are you today?
Well, I'm good. Just a bit apprehensive of Nigeria's democratic culture and the state of our transition.
I think many people are.
Nothing so good to write home about.
That's right. I think many people are. Are, especially with what we saw happen weekend with these APC primaries.
Shambolic.
Absolutely.
And atrocious.
That's the perfect word. Well, let's look into the details because that's part of our top stories for the day.
Let me pause this. You can hear Bengashiru honestly how he described the APC primaries, that it is shambolic, it is disgrace, it's a disgrace. And I don't know if APC supporters, if you still think that there is any good thing that will come out of this APC, because I mean you can hear what the gentleman said there about APC, the primaries that was held, and this is honestly just so sad. That is that a primary, or they honestly was? I think you were just probably playing. These guys don't really mean well for the country, and it is a very, very sad feeling that you can still see the ruling party of a country holding primaries like this, and is a shambolic thing. It's just disaster. And so Nigerians, we will need to brace up, because if they conduct a primary like this, then what tells you that they're going to give a free and fair election? But let's keep listening.
Today, starting off with this day newspaper, 2027, Akpabio, Barao, Bamidele, Kalu, Ndume and others win the APC primary tickets. Now, that's a very big story that we're going to look at later on, and it's across most of our dailies today. But as well, in this day, another big story. Tinubu says killing of abducted Oyo teacher is barbaric, and we are working to arrest the criminals. Promises timely rescue of other victims and says the bandits and collaborators will be apprehended, and urges the National Assembly to expedite action on the enactment of a state police law. Will not give in to terror, but ready to listen to their demands. This has been declared by Sheyi Makinde. And don't let Musa become another Chibok, northern senators warn. As well as Nigeria-US military killed 20 ISIS and ISWAP fighters as target operations continue. Let's move on to another newspaper, which is the Daily Independent. Tinubu urges National Assembly to fast-track state police bill and condemns the beheading of abducted Oyo teacher, vows the rescue of victims. Another story there, court grants Al-Rufai 100 million naira bail and seizes his passport. As well, a jury begins deliberations in a bribery trial of Dizani Alison Madueke. Senate says Bamidele, Oshomole, Ndume Barao and others have secured the APC ticket, and the party disqualifies 3 serving senators and 41 others. Let's take a look now at what's happening in New Telegraph. CAN, that's the Christian Association of Nigeria, says kidnappers are turning Nigerian classrooms into hunting grounds. Oyo teachers protest colleagues' abduction and killing, and they continue to shut schools. Tinubu condemns the killing and assures of the rescue of the others. APC senatorial primaries also in the front of a New Telegraph, as well as leadership newspaper. If we can pull that up, Makinde vows the rescue of remaining abductees as bandits behead a teacher. Such a terrible story that's making the headlines across many of our local newspapers today. Let's take a look quickly at what's going on in the international papers, starting off with The Guardian. It seems like there's more updates, Benga, on the deadly outbreaks that's going on with the Ebola virus that seems to have no vaccine at the moment. That's another top story in international papers there in The Guardian, where it reads deadly outbreaks more frequent and more damaging. Also in international news, The Times, Burnham far ahead of Starmer in Labour votes. Now, it's said that 2/3 want the new PM by next general election. Oh no, terrible times for Keir Starmer, as his time in office is weighing very much in the balance. Let's go back and take a look at what's going on in our local newspapers and take a look at our headlines in detail. APC Senate primaries as well. Daniel Amosun Rochas crash. Abiodun Uzodinma and Bello win. Now, APC's 2027 senatorial primaries turned into a full-blown political earthquake, with big men falling and new power players rising. Former governors, serving senators and party heavyweights were swept off the political chessboard as consensus deals and backroom moves shook the party. In Delta State, political titans collided hard. Ifeanyi Okowa crushed Ned Nwoko, while Ede Dafionan humbled Ovie Omo Agege in a landslide showdown. Meanwhile, to the surprise of many, Yaya Bello roared back into relevance in Kogi Central, scoring a thunderous victory that signaled a major political comeback. Some APC bigwigs didn't even step into the ring. Former Ogun governors Benga Daniel and Ibikunle Amosun stayed away as consensus politics took over. Edo APC primaries descended into confusion, with 2 different camps claiming victory, turning the exercise into a political marketplace of drama and accusations. Meanwhile, in Ebonyi State, what started as a peaceful exercise ended in chaos after journalists were allegedly attacked. A massive wave of disqualifications rocked the party as 44 aspirants were blocked from contesting, sparking outrage, protests, and cries of manipulation. Benga, despite the chaos, the APC machine kept moving with figures like Godswill Akpabio, Ali Ndume, Adams Oshomole, and Bamidele Opeyemi cruising through as party kingmakers flex their muscles ahead of 2027. And we still have more unfolding as this week moves along. What do you make of all of this so far between what we've been seeing from Saturday up until yesterday?
I think it's a parody of when you said something keeps moving. Sometimes, philosophers have debated when something is in a constant state of flux, if we are actually experiencing change or it's just that internal change, that mystery of what we call change. But I want to say that it's rather unfortunate because we raised the alarm here of the potential landmines in our democratic landscape, starting from the Electoral Act and the defects in the Electoral Act and some of the practices that defines internal democracy within the parties. I think that we need to go back to the drawing board, honestly. We cannot present this as something above board. And why do I say so? Section 153 gives INEC the powers to conduct elections, to set up the guidelines. And I think that if the National Assembly should be coming, it should come with their oversight, the power of oversight in terms of the finances and some regulations that extends to the real statutory mandate of INEC. Why am I saying this? How do you expect politicians to conduct internal elections all in the name of primaries when you have interested parties? So it's obvious that we've seen a situation where what is meant to be a test of grassroots influence and party popularity, internal party popularity, turned out to be so shambolic and atrocious.
Yes.
And why am I saying this? I think that we need to go back to the drawing board and restructure our internal democracy, because charity begins at home. The internal democracy, the primaries are the defining corner pictures of our political transition, because there is very little choice left to the electorate when the internal primaries have been compromised at that level. So what am I saying? I think that possibly the INEC needs to be unbundled. Some part of INEC should take charge of the primaries and another should take charge of the main election. And why am I saying this? We have interested parties. So why do you think that, because the old tenet of democracy is based on three tripods of integrity. One, the transparency of and credibility of the process, the capacity of the INEC, and also the vote of public confidence. And that is why we keep having this voter apathy syndrome in this part of Africa. Because from the roots, the democracy seems to be under siege. That's the honest truth. And that's why we have seen even people so scared, experienced politicians so scared of even attending the party primaries because of safety. So a lot of concerns that needs to be addressed, because INEC cannot continue to play the role of a spectator at primaries, the observer role. That is what the Constitution provides for INEC. And I think that a lot of this provision is being exploited against the principle and gains of democracy in Nigeria. And there's a need for us to go back to the drawing board, change this, then take away the responsibility of conducting primaries from party leaders that are obviously interested candidates or parties to this arrangement, and give it to a neutral umpire that would regulate all this rubbish that we've seen so far.
And you're right, there's so many concerns that need to be addressed at this point in time. But Benga, one can only wonder, is it not too late? This one that the elections are already here. We're already at the heels of 2027. Is it not too late for these massive changes to be put into place? One can only wonder. Yeah,
when we take a utilitarian assessment of the situation, that is the cost-benefit analysis of the higher good, if we're going to gamble away our future for the next 4 years, I think if it's going to take us 3 months to re-evaluate the situation and correct most of the obvious defects in our electoral draft, I think it's worth the while.
I think it's worth the while as well. Let's take a look at another top headline in the Vanguard newspaper. If we can pull that up. Actually, this headline is on the front of many, and it's basically an analysis and a breakdown and a reporting of the Oyo school kidnapping. We have outrage spreads after teachers beheading, and Tinubu vows to rescue. With another headline reading, we're ready to listen to the abductors, Makinde. That's in New Telegraph. While also in Vanguard, teachers and students protest over the abductions and the killings. Now, the horror has deepened after a viral video showed a maths teacher, Michael Oyedokun, beheaded by the kidnappers. A shock that sent anger boiling across Nigeria yesterday. Now, Governor Seyi Makinde said that the government is ready to listen to the abductors and demands if it will help bring the children and the teachers home alive. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu described the attack as barbaric and ordered a full-scale security operation to hunt down the bandits and their local helpers. Security forces have turned Ogbomosho into a rescue war room, with police, soldiers, Amotekun and other agencies joining hands to save the hostages. 6 suspected informants have been arrested after security agents tracked phone calls allegedly linking them to the bandits' movement through the forest. Now, the bandits are reportedly using the kidnapped children as human shields, making rescue operations extremely dangerous and delicate. Fear has swallowed the community whole, with many schools standing empty as teachers protested and parents keeping their children far from classrooms, as we spoke about yesterday. It's almost as if we were, almost looking into what was going to happen based on what we've seen happen continuously. Now, from captivity, teachers and school leaders begged the government, churches and Nigerians for help, as the cries of frightened children echoed through some of those viral videos. Now, Benga, before I come to you, let me go to a few things that Governor Seyi Makinde said. He said that the hunt for the abducted students and teachers is still in full swing, with security forces working around the clock. He also described the situation as being fluid and as it being difficult, meaning that the rescue mission is full of so much uncertainty. He also urged residents to become the government's extra eyes and ears, saying that any strange movement or suspicious activity should be reported immediately. The governor struck a defiant tone, declaring that Oyo State would not bow its head to terror or allow criminals to rule through fear. At the same time, he opened the door for dialogue, saying that the government is ready to listen to the abductors' demands if it will help free the children safely. That last statement is a little bit worrying, It shows that we are in a desperate situation, Benga, where now the governor is saying that we are open to dialogue and we are open to listen to what the abductors' demands are, if that means that these children and teachers will be brought back to their homes safely. What do you make of all of this? We've been analyzing the story yesterday, and this is an event that happened on Friday. These are 3 different schools in Oyo State struck by such destruction.
Indeed, a desperate policy that cries out for intervention.
Yes.
And you look at the situation. Ogbomosho is over 2 hours drive from Ibadan. We have made this, at the risk of sounding like a broken record, we've made this statement, we've reiterated this fact of the porosity of ungoverned territories. I remember the last major abduction last year in November 21, 2025. Charles Aruka left a very resounding and very poignant statement in Papiri,
Niger State,
when he said there is no guarantee that this would not reoccur again. It shows that we really do not have that structure. We really do not have the capacity to address this recurring menace. Everyone knows that the nation faces an existential threat in form of asymmetric warfare. So now, for those of us that have been arguing about advocating strongly for state policing, may I ask a rhetorical question? Because I understand that the president has deployed a special squad for the rescue mission, and I wonder how many of them really understand the roots of the forest in Ogbomosho. So when we talk about state policing, we don't just wake up. It's not a brainwave. It's an in-depth understanding of the fact that security threats takes a geopolitical coloration and dimension. That's why in the Northeast, you have the violent extremists. In the North Central, Northwest, you have the rampage of banditry. In the Southeast, you have the separatist movements. So, and unfortunately, this menace is taking its toll and finding its way down to the South. But again, there is the issue of responsibility and accountability. This thing is happening and no one is taking responsibility. How do we maximize, what is the level of our response to intelligence? We talk about intelligence integration. Now, on accountability, 2014, and I'm tired of saying this, the former British Prime Minister Gordon Brown initiated the Safe School Initiative, which comprised of the perimeter fencing, the communal intelligence integration, and the response system, and also so many key factors in which the chairman of Arise News also contributed to that initiative.
Yes, you said
By
so.
2014 to 2020, there was another follow-up in that. There was a build-up in that Safe School Initiative that they were able to raise $30 million. Then by 2023, there was a national response plan that $122 million was raised. So what has changed? How many schools have undergone perimeter fencing and also communal intelligence integration? How many schools have that surveillance network? Just a few months ago, in March, President Tinubu promised to donate 5,000 cable communication network, CCTV, in Plateau State. The traditional rulers reminded him after he donated the 2 billion naira. So it questions the commitment. It's not about condemning and blowing grammar and calling it barbaric that we want to. Lives are being lost. We cannot get used to it. We resist every unspoken attempt, every subtle attempt to get used to this menace. It's completely unacceptable, and our response is most uncharitable to this to this menace. So it's something that speaks about lack of responsibility, lack of accountability, lack of political will in addressing this issue. And we talk about state policing. It is now that the president is now urging the National Assembly. And I've not seen that will, because when he wants to borrow money, we see the overnight and speedy passage of that bill. But when it comes to state policing, there's a lot of hesitation, there's a lot of bureaucratic pathology and administrative bottlenecks that is being deployed to this process as if it's a rocket science. It's not a rocket science.
Yeah, very well pointed out. Very well pointed out. And it seems like it seems to be a deeper slope every single time. Thank you for also reminding us of, what happened in Papiri 6 months ago in Niger State. I think it's still fresh
Indeed.
on the minds of many people because it was really a traumatic experience for the nation as a whole. Well, let's take a look at another headline in Daily Independent, and that is on the ICPC with the El Rufai case. And the headline reads, "Others in custody aware of access control protocol." Now, the ICPC has pushed back hard against claims that former Kaduna Governor Nasir El Rufai was being starved or cut off from his family while in custody. The drama erupted after a viral video showed El Rufai's wife accusing the agency of blocking her from bringing food to her husband. The anti-corruption agency said that the claims were false and misleading, insisting that strict visiting rules apply to everyone inside its facility. According to the ICPC, visitors are only allowed between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. Once the clock strikes late, the gates close. The commission said El Rufai's family had already visited him several times that same day, dropping food in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening as well. Official records include visitor logbooks, which were presented as proof that the family was not shut out as claimed. The ICPC also pointed out that El-Rufai's wife admitted in her own video that she arrived around 7 p.m. That's 30 minutes after visiting hours had closed. Because El-Rufai is a high-profile political figure, the agency said it must maintain tight security around him, which is true. Now, the commission denied claims that medical personnel were blocked, saying that they only asked for identification and security clearance before allowing access. ICPC further revealed that El-Rufai had recently been allowed to visit both his dentist and his eye doctor under official escort, insisting he was not being denied medical care or basic human rights as previously claimed. Meanwhile, yesterday, a federal high court in Abuja also granted El-Rufai bail at a whopping 100 million naira. Justice Joyce Abdul Malik made it very clear that this was no free pass, as the conditions of bail were tight. Anyone standing as El-Rufai's surety must live in Abuja's elite Maitama or Asokoro districts. The surety must also hand over the original land documents of a property to the court. The court insisted that the surety must be a senior federal civil servant or grade level 17 or above. To prove financial strength, the surety must show bank confirmed salary payments and swear an affidavit of means before the court. El-Rufai was also ordered to surrender all his international passports, effectively clipping his wings from leaving the country. The court demands extra paperwork, including tax clearance certificates and official verification. The strict conditions are a signal that the court is treating the case like a high-stakes national security matter, with every move being closely watched. So, Benga, we have two sides of the same coin here. On one hand, we have El-Rufai's wife and family claiming that they're not being allowed to see him. And on the other hand, we have this 100 million naira bail that we saw yesterday, with this huge and very, difficult list of things to fulfill. Now, the ICPC has been very thorough in putting out their statement and their conditions and saying that you can't come at 7 p.m. when you know that visiting hours ended at 6:30. What do you make of this entire controversial matter that has been unfolding since he was first arrested in February, taken in custody of the EFCC? If you remember, we discussed this here and we were talking about how it was done on his birthday, the 16th of February, and now we are all the way into May. What do you make of all of these facts?
I stand with the facts that the law is no respecter of anyone. But as much as that stands, I think I am a staunch advocate that that every prosecution must be devoid of a prosecution of detention. It must be devoid of. It must ensure fair hearing, and it must be devoid of a political vendetta.
Right.
And you look at this, it's quite laughable and very spurious that you have a court demanding a 100 million naira bill from a senior civil servant. The highest level in the federal civil service is grade level 17. That's the position of a director, because the position of a permanent secretary is an appointment by the president himself from the crop of directors. So the average level of the average remuneration of a director is about 605,000 naira. So in a year, that's about 7-point-something million naira. So it's going to take over 15 years to raise 100 million naira. So that defies every sense of logic, every sense of reasoning. It defies critical reasoning. That I think the judiciary should stop and what is called argumentum ad ignorantiam, that's appealing to ignorance. Then again, on the issue of the state of welfare of Malam El-Rufai, every Nigerian, Section 34 provides for the rights of human dignity And there is also in treating a criminal case, there is Section 36, subsection 5 that talks about that provides for the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. And also Section 36, subsection 5 provides that's the provision of the status of being the presumption of innocence, and subsection 35 provides for his personal liberty. So anything that runs foul of this it clearly undermines the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So I think it's getting 90 days in detention is beyond a reasonable time limit as defined by the Constitution in treating or prosecuting a suspected criminal case. So I think that the judiciary is a professional institution. It's an institution that demands a lot of integrity and transparency, and we should see that in prosecuting or the trial of every case in Nigeria.
All right, Benga, let's analyze now, before we go, the international news with the Ebola updates with what's going on in DR Congo. And we seem to have some updates from what we discussed yesterday. The death toll has increased since yesterday's report, now with over 100 people already killed in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, this headline is on the front of The Guardian as well as the New Telegraph, so that has more information there. But now health officials are saying that more than 390 people are now suspected to have caught the virus, and raising fear to a much bigger disaster. Now, yesterday we saw the World Health Organization sounding the global alarm, and now there seems to be more updates with an American doctor working in Congo who has tested positive after treating patients, and several other Americans are now being evacuated under tight security. Benga, I'm going to come back to you because I want to know what that chuckle was about concerning this headline. Now, countries around the world are scrambling to shut the door off the virus, with airport screenings, travel restrictions, and contact tracing now being in full swing. President Donald Trump spoke up and said that the deadly Ebola outbreak in Congo is worrying, but insisted that the virus has not crossed into America's borders, which I believe is his priority, making sure that it stays in Africa. As the World Health Organization sounded the global alarm, the U.S. moved swiftly to tighten the airport screening, as I just said before, and health officials are actually treating this outbreak like a ticking time bomb, racing to stop the virus from spreading beyond Africa's doorstep. It seems like at this point, Benga, it's each man for himself. Each country is looking out for their own. We reported earlier on that the American doctor was being flown to Germany for treatment and many other things, but we're not hearing much more besides the death toll, which is rising at such a fast pace. Yesterday it was 80 people, and now overnight it has jumped to 100 people who have already been killed in the DRC.
It's very unfortunate. You were asking for my chuckle because an American doctor has been infected, Peter Stafford, yes, and been flown to Germany. And again, we see the U.S. president maintaining that to your 10-to Africa stance, that it's been unnecessarily escalated. This is a professional report by the World Health Organization, and for U.S. president to maintain that stance smacks of a bit somehow recklessness on his part, and a kind of medical gamble that he's taking, because this is something that has a potential of being a global pandemic. And by that time, I hope it will not be too late. So it's something that calls for a global response. The World Health Organization declared it as an international health emergency, and there is a need for world leaders to rise up to this very deadly spread. You talked about, as of yesterday, it was within the range of 100, but now we're talking about cases that have risen to about close to 400 now, 390. So I think that, again, Nigeria needs to wake up and do a reassessment of how ready is Nigeria for this medical health emergency. 2014, Aliko Dangote donated $1.2 million, and they were able to raise $2.2 million. So what happens to this in terms of creating a health emergency structure, a health emergency fund? I leave it at that because we've overrun our time.
That's fine. Well, those headlines on the newspaper review.
This morning, President Tinubu condemns the barbaric killing of an abducted Oyo teacher and vows to rescue the captured. From Akpabio to Kalu, Abiodun to Jarigbe, and Bamidele to Burao, we'll take you through the winners and losers of the APC primaries. Fagbemi asks for a dismissal of Jonathan's 2027 eligibility. That's as the former president failed to submit his form to the PDP. Nasir El-Rufai and Omoyele Showore's moment of comic relief amid legal strife. Dafinone defeats Omo Agege in Delta Central, securing the APC ticket. The senator joins us to discuss what this victory means. Where there are winners, so too are there challenges and their experiences. Cross River APC House of Representatives aspirant Antonia Agbede Ali shares her ordeal. We have a Rise News analyst, Dr. Sam Amadi, to walk us through what's next for those unable to secure a ticket. This morning on World Brief, chaos in Kenya and protests over fuel hikes turn deadly. And we have the papers presenting top stories from home and abroad with Adefemi Akisoya. Florida's Nexa Energy plans to buy Virginia's Dominion Energy for $67 billion. Rota Sodiri's Global Business Brief will bring us more. After 10 years and 20 trophies, Pep Guardiola is set to leave Manchester City at the end of the season. And are the Gunners gonna go all the way? Arsenal goes 5 points clear after a big night at the Emirates. Ebi Iyomon has the Global Sports Update. On what's trending with Ojiokpe, United States Military's Africa Command carries out more deadly attacks in northeastern Nigeria. Good news, a set of Nigerian twin filmmakers capture hearts in Cannes with their submission on Nigeria's elite. All of this coming up with Ruben Abati, Vimbai Mutinhiri Ekpenyo, Rufai Oseni, and Ojiokpe. This is The Morning Show.
Good morning out there. I'm Ruben Abati.
And I'm Vimbai Mutinhiri Ekpenyo.
Rufai Oseni, welcome to The Morning Show.
Let's dive straight away into the stories in focus for the news headlines this morning. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has condemned as barbaric the reported killing of one of the teachers abducted from a Sele community in Oyo State last Friday. President Tinubu has directed security operatives to intensify efforts and ensure the swift rescue of all abducted victims, ordering the apprehension of the attackers and their local collaborators. He further called on the National Assembly to expedite action on legislation establishing state police.
All right, well, let's turn our attention to politics now, as 5 top-ranking senators, among several others, yesterday emerged victorious in their respective All Progressives Congress, that's APC senatorial primaries, ahead of the 2027 general election. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, Deputy President of the Senate, Barao Jibrin, Senate Leader, Okweyemi Bamidele, former Senate Chief Whip, Oji Uzokalu, and former Senate Leader, Alin Dume, Senator Adams Oshomole, all secured APC tickets for another term in the Senate. In Delta State, Senator Ede Dafinoni defeated Senator Ovie Omoagege to clinch the APC ticket for Delta Central, while former Governor Ifeanyi Okowa floored Senator Ned Nwoko in the battle for Delta North. Former Ogun State Governors Benga Daniel, Ogun East, and Ibidapo Amosun, Ogun Central, shunned the exercise, while Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State triumphed over ex-Governor Rochas Okorocha in the Imo West senatorial primary. Also serving senator representing Cross River North, Jarigbe Agom Jarigbe, emerged as APC senatorial candidate for 2027 after winning the party primary election for Cross River North.
A federal high court in Abuja has fixed May 26 for the judgment in a suit challenging President Goodluck Jonathan's eligibility to contest in the 2027 presidential election. Jonathan and the Attorney General of the Federation are seeking dismissal of the suit filed by Abuja lawyer John Mary Obi, aimed at stopping the former president from running. Justice Peter Lifu will also rule on an application seeking his recusal from alleged bias. This was as Jonathan failed to show up for the submission of his nomination form as announced by a faction of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. A faction of the PDP backed by Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde had announced that Jonathan will be screened as the party's presidential aspirant today. And that's about all of this. I mean, Vimba, you want to take the floor?
Okay, well, let me take a quick bite out of some of these stories today. Quite interesting, to refer to President Goodluck Jonathan's alleged speculation around his desire to allegedly want to contest in the election backed by Seyi Makinde, who's also contesting for the APM. Quite an interesting dynamic there. But let's begin with issues around security, because as I said yesterday, without the security of lives and property, there can be no politics, and there certainly cannot be a free and fair election. Now, the president's comments on what was a barbaric act, as he has quoted in his words, in Oyo State, are very much welcome, but they're also coming at a time where this is becoming one too many. They're becoming repetitive and they're becoming worrisome because Nigerians at this point are looking for action and not for words, not for consolation. So what are some of the strategies that we've pursued in the past beyond this rhetoric of pushing for the speedy passing of state police, which has also turned into rhetoric that has gone into almost 2 years now, that we've been hearing the president continue to push for the speedy implementation, the speedy passing of state police. In the meantime, some of the states have started pursuing their own strategies. For example, you look at some of the northern states that have pursued peace deals. Katsina is one of those that always comes up at the top. But now you look at what's happening with these peace deals, as it was reported last week that in some communities, the bandits and these terrorist organizations are now demanding as much as 10 million naira per local government area as a levy. This is as part of the negotiated peace deals. So those are failing. And I mentioned this because the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, had said that, well, he's open to hearing what these kidnappers have to say. And we just warn and say, look at the example that has been set in the past by these so-called peace deals, these negotiations. They haven't brought much fruit in terms of sustainable peace and security to the regions that have implemented them. Then, of course, we now go to the U.S. collaboration, which is probably the biggest aspect of Nigeria's military strategy and security strategy that gets the most attention. Now, if we track back to when this particular strategy came into play with those notorious Christmas Eve bombings, strikes that took place on Christmas Eve, and we look at the trajectory of security incidents since then, we see that unfortunately there's been an upsurge since those particular attacks. Since then, we've seen the deployment of American troops, and we've been told that these troops are not to engage in combat, but that they're actually to engage in ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. Now, there's debate about whether they were involved in active combat in the last 2 strikes that have taken place. But let's look at the positive side. The positive side is that ACLED, which tracks global conflicts, has said that the Lake Chad Basin has been home to over almost 1,500 terror attacks over the past year. Now, if you look at the strikes, they are targeted at Lake Chad and the activity of ISIS. So when we look at the U.S. collaboration, we see that there is quite an intentional targeting towards ISIS activities in the Lake Chad Basin, with the most recent one eliminating 20 terrorists in Metele in Borno State. So that's a positive side. Now, on the negative side is this continued opacity around America's involvement. Why is this a matter of importance? I highlighted it yesterday and I highlight it again today to say this is a matter of importance because once those lines become blurred, then mission creep sets in. What is mission creep? Mission creep is when you have one assignment and then you seem to expand the territory, or rather the framework with which you operate. We've seen this happen several times with the United States. Now, Nigeria is not Somalia, it's not Libya, it's not Sudan, and it's certainly not Iraq. However, one needs to learn from history and be sure that the framework with which these military cooperations happen are within a very well-defined mission. Again, I repeat, Lake Chad has been the place where we've seen some of our top military men being executed in recent times. Lake Chad Basin is also the place where we've seen some of the military camps being raided by terrorist camps. So it's a welcome development that these are the targets of the strikes. But as the United States focuses more on the Islamic State, which makes more global headlines, we have to remember that we have a couple of other enemies here in Nigeria. There's also Lakurawa focusing on the northeast, coming in from the Alliance des États Sahel, where there's an upsurge of that. So we say, while the U.S. collaboration focuses on IS, what is the strategy we're implementing locally and domestically to attack Lakurawa and to bring that under control and to make sure that that is abated? Those are some of the questions. I also want to round up my conversation on security by saying that IS activity has now reached a record high of 86% in the first quarter of 2026 here in Nigeria and in West Africa. This is compared to 79% in 2025. So you can see that since the American collaboration started, there's been an upsurge in IS activity. Now, of course, our brave soldiers were killed, and not executed. That's the choice of word. They were killed by the terrorist attacks.
And it is sad that our soldiers are constantly killed. But the sad part is, or the most painful part is, what is done for them afterwards. What is their welfare package like? You see, we live in a country where we have normalized the abnormal. It's a country that is currently sitting on the precipice. And I don't want to scare you this morning, but I'll say it the way it is. We live in a country where respect and dignity for those that lay their lives down every day in this country is not respected. Our soldiers being killed. What's the afterwards welfare for their family members? Very sad. Justice Crack the other day just showed us a portion of their living conditions, and he was incarcerated. But in the same country, Sheikh Gumi can say what he says, but he's walking a free man. It speaks volumes about the country you live in. The teacher that was beheaded is a reflection of the nation we have become. The president said it's a barbaric act. A teacher was beheaded. He didn't fly the flag at half-mast. We didn't show pain. We didn't react. We just say we're going to find them and rescue the rest. It speaks volumes about the country we live in. It's a country that doesn't think and care for the poor. It's a country that neglects the poor. When are we going to fly flags of half-mast? Maybe when a former president dies, a big man dies. But for us, a teacher that was beheaded in a country where you have over 10 million out-of-school children, and a nation doesn't even shudder. A nation still goes to sleep. This morning, I would like to beg you, we can't keep saying the teacher's reward is in heaven. Let's start a teacher's fund. Anywhere around you, you see a teacher in need, reach out to them with a small teacher's fund. Because we can't afford to make our teachers feel they are left behind. They protested yesterday because their colleague was killed. But all the government says is, we'll fix it. But they never fix it. And they fail us over and over again. We can talk military strategies. We can talk killings of terrorists. We can talk American intervention. But as long as our teachers are still beheaded, and we still have some teachers in captivity, it's never going to be well. So I think that's the biggest story in the land this morning. As regards the APC, what should I say again? Who should I speak up for? Oh, I would speak up for the deputy governor in Ogun State, whose name was removed. But when we said the APC internal democracy was faulty, I'm probably sure she will be part of those that defended so much. But this has been visited upon us. Or should I speak up for the Kwara senator who said he was gone in for the governorship primaries, but his name came out in the senatorial primaries and he was defeated? Or who should I speak up for? Billionaire businessman, Ned Nwoko, isn't it? Should I speak up for him? Yes, I'll speak up for Ned. But he crossed, and he thought the APC was going to give him El Dorado. But now, he has eaten breakfast. Who else shall I speak up for? The list is endless. But most importantly, when Mike Guinea was speaking up and telling you guys that the same electoral laws you signed was going to put you in problems, you called us the liars then, you called us names. But today, you want us to speak up for you because the same party you trusted so much and you put everything in and you thought you were going to get an automatic seat has come around to bite you. What has happened in the APC with the primaries is just a clear case of bushmeat catching the hunter. However, remember the words of Sound Sultan when he sang so proudly that one day bushmeat will catch the hunter. So all of those that have benefited from this same shenanigan now sees what it feels like when they lose now. And if you dare call this internal democracy and primary, yes, I will remind you by saying, Yaya Bello, that the EFCC chief bragged that if I don't bring to book, I will leave my job, has gotten a Senate primary candidature in his state as we speak today. In fact, we don't even know what to believe because some people brought out the story and said, oh, he didn't qualify for the screening.
But this is honestly so sad that Yaya Bello, that was supposed to be in jail, has now won the senatorial nomination for APC in Kogi State. Wow. 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 Shit. This is just, man. God. Let's listen some more.
But he also won. So that's your democracy for you. And like Dr. Bati said yesterday, yes, Iyolo Omishore did even win from the prison. But the question you'll ask is, where is the place for common decorum and the fight against corruption? Where is the place for at least saying, let me settle my corrupt case before I think of politics? But people here say, oh, it's not been convicted, isn't it? And that's the kind of life we live.
Okay.
Yaya Bello is walking scot-free. El Rufai, we're trying to perfect his bail. All corruption.
Okay, I have extremely limited time. I'll just try to say what I can say in the limited time that I have. Which subject should I take now? Okay, let me start with the party primaries. The electoral provision for party primaries is in sections 84 to 88 of that, electoral 2026. And section 84, sub 2, says specifically that primaries can only be by direct primaries or by consensus. Now, ahead of the various primaries, this became a problem because persons in the APC, in particular, were concerned that most of the persons had been chosen via consensus. Some people say via anointment. Now, the fear is that after these primaries, there is going to be a lot of litigation under the rubric of pre-election jurisdiction. However, there is a cautionary tale, and that cautionary tale, clearly, is that in the recent decision of the Court of Justice Joyce Abdulmalik in the matter involving Fubara Dagogo and APC. Now, Justice Abdul Malik threw out that matter and even fined the plaintiff, dismissing the matter as frivolous and outside the jurisdiction of pre-election matters, within the purview now of Section 85, sub 2, 83, sub 5, which talks about the fact that internal party matters are the responsibilities of political parties, which is a decision that has also been taken in Onuaha versus Okafor, and also in the matter involving Turaki. Both of those cases are 2003 cases. So there's going to be a lot of litigation as expected, but the affected parties should just be careful, because there will be a lot of tests for Section 83, sub 5. And if Justice Abdul Malik's ruling in Fubara Dagogo versus APC is anything to go by, people should just be careful about the lessons of pre-election jurisprudence, because your matter can be thrown out. You can even be fined for bringing frivolous cases, and your lawyer can even be reprimanded for wasting the time of the court. But it will be interesting to see what happens hereafter, after all the primaries. Now, the second matter has to do with security. The president has said all the right things. People killed, not just in Oyo State, Urire local government, Surulere local government, Southeast local government, and all of that. But there was also the case in Musa in Borno State. So the president says, after a fashion, we will go after the people, we will bring them to justice, the security agencies will do their work. The same thing that Governor Seyi Makinde has said. But what happened? After the simultaneous coordinated attacks in those 4 or 5 local governments, it took the police 2 hours to show up. Why is it that our security agencies always show up so late? The second thing is about state police. The president says the National Assembly should expedite action on the creation of state police. Well, are all the states who had promised that they will work on the idea of state police, are they ready? That also is a question. But the more interesting development is this collaboration between the Nigerian government, the agencies, and the United States, the cooperation, which led to the demobilization, the killing of Al-Manuki on a Saturday, which the Americans themselves acknowledged. And then on Sunday, we are now getting the report from Defense Headquarters that about 20 ISIS soldiers were also neutralized. Well, the more that is done, we will see it in terms of security. And this is political season. The people need to be safe and secure. As for the matter involving President Goodluck Jonathan, now, the main matter before the Court of Justice Peter Lifu, is about Section 137, sub 3. And Chris Uche, SAN, who is counsel to President Jonathan, has said that the law, that Section 137, sub 3, cannot have retroactive effect. The second argument of counsel to President Jonathan is that, look, the complainant, the plaintiff, John Mary, I think is his name, Jidobi, John Mary Jidobi, has no local standard in the matter. And then the director of civil litigation and public law, along with Chris Uche SAN, have now said that matter should be thrown out by the Court of Justice Lifu. But meanwhile, there's also a challenge from Jidobi John Mary challenging Justice Peter Lifu, saying that the Court of Lifu Justice is biased. But the learned justice has already fixed May 27 to determine the matter. And we can only wait till then. We cannot, make final pronouncements on a matter that is before the court of law. However, as I've always said on this table, it will be important for President Jonathan himself to clarify his situation, whether he's going to run or not going to run, Otherwise, we will just be at the level of speculation. The only thing we can hold on to is there are persons who have been trying to persuade him, who have been saying that they want their good luck back. And then, of course, but he, who is the principal party in the matter, will still have to come forward and, declare where he stands. After all, this last weekend or so, at the 13th Synod of the Diocese of Abuja in the Anglican Church jurisdiction, Most Reverend Henry Ndukuba, who is the primate of the Anglican Church, advised him not to run. Will he take the advice of the primate? Will he make a pronouncement very soon? So there are a lot of issues there. But to go back quickly and briefly and finally to the persons involved in the primaries, where the deadline is over for them to join any other political parties. That in itself is an important development with regard to Electoral Act 2026. But we'll see how it plays out. After all, politicians never give up.
Now, the ongoing primaries in the APC have been a major event in Nigerian politics as various individuals battle it out for tickets ahead of 2027. In the Obudu, Obanliku, and Bekwara federal constituency, Antonia Agbede Ali pitched her tent with the ruling party. Regrettably, realizing her ambition to represent her constituency was not successful. Well, joining us on the show now to narrate her ordeal in the primary is Antonia Agbede Ali, an APC House of Reps aspirant. Good morning, Antonia, and welcome to the program today.
Good morning, Vampire, and thank you for having me.
Okay, Madam, well, how do you feel having lost in the...
Good morning, Dr. Abati.
Good morning. How do you feel the morning after having lost out in the House of Reps nomination process, primaries process, in your constituency? Bekwara, I think, is in Cross River, right? Cross River State?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's Cross River State.
Sir.
So do you have any grievances?
Yes, sir.
Was it a free and fair process? Do you think you lost fairly? And what's the next step for you?
Thank you, sir. So I don't think, because you said, how do I feel about the primaries? I first of all want to state that there were no primaries conducted in the Obudu, Bekwara, Obanliku constituency area. What had happened was that there was a lot of chaos. We were there, first of all, before the elections happened, there was a meeting where they had gathered all APC members. I was told that I wasn't invited for that meeting. I had to force myself into the hall, and I sat in the front where the chairman of the Obudu chapter and the Obudu local government and some other APC executives, where the incumbent, Mr. Peter Panke, who is currently on seat, was there, and they said that all the executives had directed the people in the hall that they were to follow the governor's directives and vote for Peter Apanke, regardless of the fact that I was present and there was another lady too who had not stepped down to join the race. So that was on the day of the primaries. So after that, we were meant to go to our various wards and begin voting. So we had started, I had gone to my ward, which is Utugwan North, where I'm very familiar with my people. And my people had told me that they were directed to vote for Peter Apanke, but because of the relationship I have with them, they assured me that they were going to at least give some votes to me, but they were told that they were giving no materials. So they began by recording, apparently they said something about verbal affirmation, which we have done our research, myself and my lawyer, and there's no such thing as that supported by APC or INEC or the Constitution or anything like that. But even at that, with the so-called verbal affirmation, you can see online that people were counting from 45 to 100 and all sorts of things. So they weren't even able to take that seriously. So I can conclude, that there was actually no primary elections done in Obudu, Bekwara, Obanliku area. Some of the ward chairmen who said that and some other witnesses said to me that the materials were given directly to the person who is on seat, who is Peter Apanke, who so happens to be a former EFCC staff who was actually dismissed because he was using EFCC. This is online. He was using EFCC to the word they used was extort Cross River and Akwa Ibom indigents. So even at the town hall meeting, when the governor had said that is his choice, because I was present at the town hall meeting where he had Obudu stakeholders, and he was instructing us that these are his choices. By then, I'd already picked my form. I wasn't made aware in the public that the governor had made his choice. In fact, we were encouraged by the presidency and also Senator Remi Tinubu, who is my mentor. More women and young people were encouraged to pick the form. So I wasn't informed that there was no option. What I was told is that there will be a consensus, and if we do not consent to stepping down, we will now be able to experience going into the field, which was denied to us as a directive by the governor of our state. So that was just my experience. There was no election. I went from ward to ward. A lot of the wards that I went to, they don't even know who the current House of Representative member is. Yeah.
Okay, you mentioned your lawyer. What advice is he giving you? Because I just said earlier this morning that in the light of the recent judgment in the court of Justice Joyce Abdulmalik, Onoha versus Okafo, and Coaching Section 83 sub 5. If you are aware of that, the court was simply saying party affairs are party internal affairs, and that the court cannot inquire into it, and that any lawyer that brings any frivolous case will be sanctioned. So what is your lawyer advising?
Thank you, sir. So in terms of my lawyer, first of all, he filed the petition on my behalf, because that is actually a process required by the party. If there's any grievances, you are allowed to appeal. So the lawyer is assisting me in ensuring that my appeal is not denied. Then in terms of legalities, I understand that the judge in his wisdom is saying he's not getting himself involved in party affairs. But in a case where you advertise that there is a job opening, which is that we are told that we are given an opportunity to represent our people, and money is involved, where you tell people that they should come and use their finances to pick forms. Many of us are young people. We have multiple jobs that we're doing, and it took a while for us to have the courage for us to decide to make that investment. So you encourage people to pick up the forms, use their finances to pick up the forms, just for you to then inform us when we get there that the candidate has already been selected. So I don't even know if he's saying, okay, he doesn't involve himself in party issues. I think things concerning money and finances and false advertisements, I think that should be, this has gone beyond a party issue also. Okay. At the end of the day, this is a issue of governance,
I remember before the primaries for Cross River State, seeing a published list of so-called, consensus candidates for this role. But, in light of this, and in light of, you've said that you were present when the governor himself had made mention of some consensus candidates that had been selected. But you're from Cross River North. Senator Ben Ayade, also lost out, and he said that, well, he'll take it like a good party man and wait for the next opportunity. What's your take on this? Because many people are saying, well, as people who are faithful and loyal to their party, you should accept defeat this time and try again next time.
Thank you. So I would like to clarify that the meeting that we had for the governor was not meant for the House of Representatives. It was meant for the House of Assembly, which I just attended because I had not yet picked the form for the one of the representatives. So I just decided to go for that and hear what the governor has to say. So already at that point, I was already in the race. So for me, it's not an issue of winning or losing. Nobody starts out this race hoping to lose. But at the same time, based on my personality, I'm someone that was ready and willing to use it as a learning curve. I've been doing a lot of outreach within the region, especially Obudu. There were a lot of people that were recipients of the things that I've been doing. And as of recent, I was able to stretch out to the Obanliku area. So for me personally, a credible election would have allowed me to map out my strengths and my weaknesses, would have allowed me to know, okay, these are the areas where I need to work better towards the next election. So it's not necessarily about, oh, I'm aggrieved because the people that decided to select Peter did not select me. No, it's just there's a due process. We were promised that we could experience the primaries, and a lot of people, telling me, oh, I'm a first-timer. Yes, I'm a first-timer, which is even more reason why I should have been allowed to have this experience. And I think even that first-timer excuse doesn't make sense, because there are so many people around Nigeria who are first-timers and have been given the tickets to represent their party. So, yeah.
Okay, Antonia, good morning. Good. Couple of things. Number one.
Hello, Mr. Rufai. Sorry, I didn't know you were there.
Yeah, how are you? Good morning. Good morning. So, number
Fine,
one,
thank you,
Antonia,
sir.
I don't know if you've been able to speak to your mentor, Mrs. Tinubu, the First Lady of the country. I mean, maybe you could talk to Big Mommy about it. Maybe she could wield some things for you. That's number one. But one thing I'm passionate about, and I want to work with you on this, irrespective of you winning or not going through, is about solving the problem. Antonia, Bekwara has not had power in the last 20 years. They said they have restored power, but I do a radio show where I get calls from people in Bekwara that they don't have electricity. What are we going to do to fix that problem? I'm more concerned about that problem more than anything. So those two questions.
Okay, sir. So I always tell people, I know I might get backlash for this, but I'm actually not a politician. I'm a humanitarian, and everything you're saying is true. I'm from the Obudu region, and as I speak to you, there's no electricity coming into my residence, my family residence. There hasn't been electricity for about a couple of months, and because of the fact I'm a humanitarian, I'm grassrooted. I've been in this. I've been in this for a long time. Engaging with grassroots and what they are suffering and things like that. So for me, which is why I said for me, it doesn't even matter about winning or not. It's a matter of, solving the problem and getting involved in, directing towards the issues that we're having. Besides electricity, we also have issues of farmers, we have issues of the roads, the network, and then we have issues of underutilized assets, such as the Obudu Ranch. They keep saying they're going to renovate it. I mean, I just came back yesterday, and every time I'm there, I always make sure I go up to the ranch. There's no activity going on compared to the potential that we can reach. Obudu people, Bekwara, Obanliku, the region, are very hardworking people, but they lack training, they lack access to some certain basic exposures, which I cannot do alone, and which is one of the motivations that I was giving to just step up as an alternative option. And regardless of whether I won or not, I am very grateful for this opportunity, and hopefully I'll still be able to do more for my people and highlight the issues, if not nothing else, just as you said, of the lack of light and the lack of water, good road networks, and the lack of the utilization of the potential, that the high potential in that region, like the land is so fertile. There's so many things that should be going on there that I feel is a missed opportunity. So, but also in terms of the Senator Remi Tinubu, I don't know her personally, but she's somebody I have followed for since I was a kid. I just appreciate the way she dresses, the way she conducts herself as a woman, her countenance, and even her marriage. For her to be able to marry somebody that has supported her dreams to this extent. A lot of us know how difficult it is to find people like that. So I don't know her personally, but I have been watching her, I've been studying her, and that's why I would say she's like a mentor to me. So she was one of the reasons why I felt bold enough to step up and take advantage of this opportunity that was given to us by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a woman, as a youth representative as well.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us on the morning show, and we wish you all the best.
Now, the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, is heading towards the 2027 elections, facing deep internal challenges, including leadership disputes, court cases, and rising defections. Recent legal battles over party structures have created uncertainty about who controls key decision-making organs, raising concerns about candidate selection ahead of 2027. The party's influence has also weakened at state level, with only a handful of governors remaining, while internal divisions over zoning and succession continue to widen. Political analysts warn that ongoing instability and opposition realignments could weaken the PDP's chances if unresolved before the election cycle fully begins.
Live on the program this morning, we're joined by Haruna Mohammed Jungudu, the National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party faction, aligned to the Nyesom Wike bloc. Jungudu is one of the key spokespersons emerging from the party's internal division, often speaking on behalf of the faction engaged in ongoing leadership and control disputes with the PDP at the national level. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Mohammed Jungudu. Now, let's look at the political transition. A lot of landmines, a lot from the electoral defects, a lot of defects in the Electoral Act to internal rancor and rumbles across party lines now. Do you still have faith in this democracy?
Yes, good morning and thank you for having me in your studio this morning. First, I don't know. You described the PDP as being experiencing a very deep internal crisis. I don't know where you got that deep.
You're concerned about the depth of the internal crisis to the survival of democracy.
Well, I will come to that, but I need to correct that wrong narrative.
No, but we are speaking. Hold on, we are speaking based on the legal position, the legal standing of the court that said that sorry, I'm mixing it up now. That said the PDP leadership crisis should be an internal affairs, and also nullified the convention on the other parts that based on Justice Lifu declaration and also the second court ruling by Justice James Omotosho. So there is no way we can run away from the legal reality that there is a faction within the PDP.
Well, there used to be faction within the PDP, no doubt about that, but not anymore as I speak with you. We have people impersonating impostors claiming to be PDP. But that aside, let me go straight to your question. Yes, the Electoral Act, to be specific, has its own flaws. And as you could see from the outcome of the various primaries conducted, especially within the ruling party, the APC, you could see how funny how some of the results and the public outcry, and I think the Electoral Act ought to have allowed the indirect mode of primaries, so much so that parties can have, various options. But caging political parties to only direct and consensus is one of the flaws that I think the Electoral Act has brought into the democratic space. But be that as it is, I think nothing is going to happen to the democracy in Nigeria. We are evolving. We are going to get it better. And I believe with the experiences of the conduct of these primaries, I believe the next 11th Assembly will do something to amend the Electoral Act so much so that it will address some of these things. But on the whole, on the overall, I think democracy has come to stay, and we are doing good, we are doing better, and there's still room for improvement.
Okay, now this week the PDP is gearing up for more of its primaries. A few of them have been ongoing already, and it's creating quite a buzz. Now, can you give us from your perspective how confident you are that it will be free and that it will be fair, the entire process that is?
Yeah, it is free already and it is fair. You could see from the media space, no complaints. Zero, absolutely zero complaints from the PDP. Not because we do not have contestants vying for the same office, we do. But because of our ability to ensure there is internal democracy, there is, absolute freedom and rights given to party members to exercise their rights, you could see that there's absolutely no complaints from the PDP. And most of the aspirants, we feel that, who have now turned to be our candidates, are very, very credible, marketable brands that will defeat any candidate from any political party.
Now, surely, the question is not misplaced, especially looking at what has been happening with the APC primaries. There's been a lot, and there's been complaints of imposition, internal fighting. So that type of question is not misplaced for the PDP. So you're saying that all is well and good, and that people can expect free and fair?
Very, so far, so good. We conducted our Federal House of Representatives 2 days ago. Results are out, and there are no complaints anywhere, even from our eyes.
Okay, would it be right, just to set the record straight, would it be right to say that there isn't much contention and controversy in the PDP-led primaries because the supposed contenders feel it's not worth the while to invest their electoral efforts in, because of the outcome is shrouded in uncertainty based on the position of the PDP, the deeply fractured position of the party?
That is not correct. Let me give you an example. Go to Plateau. We have about 5 governorship aspirants. So what are we talking about? Go to Gombe. We have 4, with even a female aspirant. We have screened about 40 governorship aspirants so far. So who said it's because people do not have confidence in the outcome of the PDP? No, that's absolutely not correct.
All right. Well, we have a large population of Nigerians who are still not too familiar with the relevance of the primaries and, how important it is, especially for the 2027 elections. Can you give us your perspective on this?
Yes, the conduct of primaries is one of the provisions, mandatory provisions provided by Electoral Act. You have to pass through the primaries before you finally emerge as the candidate of any political party. So that enables, political parties to give their members the right to participate, to vote and be voted for. It enthrones and it entrenches internal democracy within political parties. Without the primaries, there is no way candidates will emerge. Yeah. And I think it is one of the processes that political parties must do everything possible to make sure that impositions are not allowed, and then there should be a high level of transparency, so that is the bedrock upon which our democracy can actually survive, internal democracies. The APC, we have said it, just wait for 2027 elections. I don't know, if I said anti-party within APC, perhaps it may be an understatement, but the PDP will surely consolidate on that the divisions within the APC and grab onto power. So when we are saying PDP will come back, we are not joking. We are only pleading with Nigerians to see reasons why PDP should be given the opportunity again. Yes, we have had our problems, but we are pleading to Nigerians that we are sorry. We are ready to mend our ways and then make things better for the citizenry.
Now, let me put this question to you in this way. To what extent would one say the PDP is really serious about wresting the top seat of the nation, the presidency, from the incumbents? Your faction is presenting Senator Sunday Ono as a presidential candidate, a little known Senator Sunday Ono in terms of when it comes to the national political landscape. In comparison with the other faction, the Kabiru Turaki faction that is seeking, from all indications, the re-election of President Goodluck Jonathan that had about 12.8 million votes. in his election in 2015. Is there a possibility of reconciliation before the major election? And to what extent would you be willing to adopt the other factions' candidate if it sails through, despite the legal hurdles?
Well, I insist that it is the media that is factionalizing the PDP. There is no faction anywhere. Go to INEC. Go and ask them. Write a simple...
INEC is not the court, you know. I know that INEC still recognizes the wiki-led faction, Mohammed Abdurrahman as the leader of the party. We know that.
So if you are saying INEC is not the court, are you inadvertently saying that INEC is refusing to abide by the court judgment?
No,
Certainly no.
But
Certainly
the
no.
court judgment is known to everyone.
And let's not go into that because it will probably
that's distraction from the question I did ask.
The Supreme Court judgment is unambiguous, is clean and clear, is straightforward. Abdurrahman Mohammed remains the legitimate national chairman.
No, we have seen the CTC, the certified true copy of the judgment, and there was nowhere where the court recognized Abdurrahman Mohammed as the leader of the party. You know that, so there's no need for us to.
Let's not go into that. Let's come back.
Yes, because it said the ruling said that they should go back to address the internal affairs of the party.
That is not correct. But let's not go into that.
That is correct. But okay, would you answer the question?
Professor
because
Sandy,
it seems that the body language of your faction, of your party, a lot of people feel that they are not really serious about contesting the presidential election.
And I want to
answer
that's the
you.
Question. And I want to answer you. The concept of winning elections in the past is usually one which suggests that you must get someone who is known by all Nigerians. And we have tested this, and severally, even those who appears to be the most popular candidates, turns out to disappoint many Nigerians. So why not, this time around, get someone who has consistently been identifying with the downtrodden in this country? Professor Sandy Ono, someone who started as a local government chairman. He led the Algon during his time. That is the Association of Local Government of Nigeria. He led them. He became a senator, contested for his track records. He is a man of good moral standing. He is a man who has the energy, the vision, and the knowledge. These are things that we need to look at. What are his manifestos and what are his antecedents? What are his track records? By the time you place all of this on the table, that surpasses any popularity of any candidate who does not have any track record. And I can tell you in the past, there were rumors, propaganda all over, that PDP will not field any presidential candidate. And today we have fielded one. Yet people are saying he is not someone who is competent enough to lead. Where is that one that is competent to lead that has refused to come and pick nomination form? We never shut our doors to anyone who wishes to. Unfortunately, the cells of form have closed, screening done and concluded. But otherwise, I would have said, if you want to contest, please come. As a female, you only pay ₦1 million to pick your expression of interest. So PDP is really, really ready. And the issue as to whether some groups are calling for President Goodluck Jonathan to contest. Yes, we saw stories flying yesterday that they wanted to, is it someone wanted to submit his form? And I think they said Goodluck Jonathan, I'm not sure. But it will be surprising that a man of the caliber of President Goodluck Jonathan will subject himself. I doubt if he had ever considered, but if he actually did, it will be surprising as a former president, a man who has laid another solid foundation for the survival of democracy in this country will subject himself to a caricature arrangement of people who are not legally recognized by any institution, electoral body, security agencies, and what have you. In fact, as a matter of fact, we have a petition before the Nigerian police against these impostors using the name of PDP, doing 419 and committing fraud. So it is surprising when you say there is faction, there is this.
No, because we have to. Sorry, Yolanda, we need to clarify the issue because part of the pronouncement in the CTT court judgment was the suspension of 5 members of the Wike camp, including the FCT minister itself. You can't deny that because it's included in the CTT.
I am categorically denying that. There was no mention. Tell me which page. Tell me the page.
I don't have the copy with me right now.
And I will not.
It's all over. Everyone knows.
It is not correct. I will hang around in your studio after this program. I will not leave until you get me the CTC.
Can you provide the CTC copy?
It is not a matter of can I provide. I was in court from the Federal High Court. I was there. The Court of Appeal. I was there. And the Supreme Court. I was there. There was no mention. And the issue of suspension was never an issue, a question for determination before the Federal High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court. You are not a lawyer, but I advise you discuss this with your legal department. That is what is called question for determination. And it is that question for determination that the juries answers, and that forms what we call the judgment of the court. And there was nowhere.
It's quite interesting to hear your interpretation, but I'll allow you.
It is not my interpretation.
To follow up with you.
Very quickly before we go, I wanted to ask you one question about the statement that was put out by the PDP yesterday concerning the killings in the killing and the kidnapping in Oyo State. What does the party think that the government is doing wrong? You know, there's a statement that was put out yesterday, and we reported it quite widely today. Can you give your comment on that very quickly?
The PDP did not issue any statement to that regard. I don't
absolutely
know.
Did.
Perhaps you are making reference to the Arise PDP because the mainstream PDP.
You keep dragging Arise into
No, I'm not dragging. But
we're never part. Arise is not a partisan station, and I want to categorically state that.
Arise may not be, but
let's focus on.
But when you look at Ruben and Oseni,
they are not here to defend themselves.
They indeed have their own PDP.
I think we should focus on the
Coming back to your question,
it has nothing to do with Arise.
I am the spokesperson of the PDP. I issue statement on behalf of the PDP. And I said PDP did not issue any statement. And you said no, PDP did. So I don't know which PDP you make a reference to. But that aside, the killings in Oyo or anywhere in this country is something that should be condemned. And the issues of insecurity is something that the government needs to up its game. The strategies need to be changed. We cannot be doing the same thing all the times and expect a different result. I think the president, the security chiefs, though they have been doing their best, but I think more needs to be done. And I'm pleading with all these people committing this barbaric act to please think that there is what is called a judgment day. They should stop all these things. We need peace in this country. We need stability. We need progress. And it is most unfortunate, and not only PDP, I think all Nigerians need to condemn this act.
Okay, thank you so much, Alhaji Jugundu Muhammad, the National Publicity Secretary of the Wike-led PDP faction. Thank you very much
for making
out time to be part of this discussion. And that's all we have time for here on Daybreak. I'm Benga Ashiru saying do have a most pleasant day.
And I'm your
most recognizable socio-cultural leaders in the Southwest, the National Coordinator of the Odua People's Congress, a traditionalist, activist, and prominent Yoruba leader. Well, Are Ono Kakanfo of Yoruba land, Gani Adams, joins us on Sunrise Daily this morning. Iba, it is lovely to have you on the program. We wish we were having you under a different set of circumstances, but I'm sure that you have also seen what has happened in the communities where these abductions have taken place, and the very gruesome message sent by these terrorists who have carried out these abductions. How did you, and I'm sure those that you lead, feel about the videos that have now made the rounds?
Well, it's very sad that such a thing is happening in Yoruba land now. We have the opinion that the security of Southwest is still far from other political zones in Nigeria. But what happened in Oriri local government in Oyo State 2 days ago was very sad and is highly condemnable. We have had series of kidnapping in different states, but we have not witnessed mass kidnapping in Yoruba land. And that shows that the Yoruba people, Yoruba race and Southwest must prepare for this issue of insecurity. And I've been raising about that we have been seriously infiltrated. Precisely November last year, I mentioned 4 states that these criminals have infiltrated these states. I mentioned Ondo State, Ekiti State, Osun State, and Oyo State. And there was a time, practically I mentioned Ogun State. But as the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land, I have the limit power to involve in security agitations of our country, especially Yoruba land. I've written to the Southwest governor that there is a need for collaboration on the issue of security. All hands must be on decks on these ugly issues. But for the past 2 years, he did not reply me. And I have pointed it out in different media platforms. We have held the World Press Conference on this issue about 5 months ago. There is need for the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò through Ààrẹ in Council and 14 different organizations, not only Oodua People's Congress, to collaborate with the government, even in the level of local government. It's very, very important. It's very, very important that we should collaborate so that we can be useful on intelligent gathering and with the mass followers we have and the security. These voluntary organizations have, they can help the government. But I don't know why they refuse. And people continue to put blame on me. Some people thought if you are the Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò of Yoruba land, you refuse to do something on the issue of insecurity that is threatening our commercial activities, even threatening our, because virtually 9 Yoruba land, Yoruba land that I know well when I was home in I normally live in the evening, like 5, 6 a.m. without fear of any insecurity or criminal. Now, if you have enough security men in your country, in the especially major road, Ibadan, or people might come in Arigidi. So I think it is us is see this issue must be treated with the seriousness. No,
well, Ààrẹ, it does appear that your audio is fading somewhat. We hope that we are able to correct that as we go forward in this conversation. But let me quickly, take your mind back, because you said that you had initially issued a warning precisely in November last year, announcing the fact that there has been an incursion and that, certain states were in danger. You named the states to be Ondo, Ekiti, Osun, or your state. But some people will say even before that time, we had witnessed some incursions. For instance, what happened in Owo, the murder we saw in Owo of people in churches who were just in a church who had just gone to worship. And that already gave an inkling of what was to come. We already saw the gathering of governors and the birth of Amotekun, as it were. And people believed that Amotekun was going to be another extra layer, or shall I say, a layer beneath the police that could help with local intelligence gathering and also help solve issues like this. But it does appear that we are underestimating these terrorists and their intentions, especially in many communities in the Southwest. So can you tell us what your group has been able to gather so far, what the RA in council and the people at the grassroots where your influence is felt, what is it that they have seen so far that governments at the top are yet to really see?
Hello, my dear sister, are you hearing me? The network is
loud and clear. I can hear you, sir.
now. Yeah. Please repeat the question again.
I was asking, I was trying to take your mind back to a bit of history and what we have seen so far in terms of the security threats. But I was going to ask you what precisely you have now seen at the grassroots level that the leaders at the top are yet to see.
Okay, let me just speak on what you have said. The opportunity to have grassroots followers. You don't have our workshops as an organization. And you have the opportunity to know what is happening and to know what, and that gives and having on work on some state and community and travel to yes, 7 countries, and I see how the security acts as a must be on decks on the issue of security of the country. Something that was not paid confidently give government and what will happen to them or their neighbors. So I think something like that in there. You should not have the mindset that the issue of security agencies and apart from a collaboration suggested that the issue of police is, I don't know why the presidency continue to dodge the. We are thinking of politics, and you are pushing back on proper. First priority of any government is to get life out. And day by day, we are witnessing issues on the rate of life in different parts of the country. Today in still in broad day in casino markets. And by tomorrow, that something happened. And I even realized the international media of publishing is happening in Nigeria negatively. It has been a daily on our country. The presidency, we know that anything that happens on that state, the blame always be on the father of the country. And the international community will even blame the government. Oh, issue happening in jurisdiction or own area the president. I think it's very, very important that the president for the state and local government to have their own security. You can't run from this issue. When you know be hearing bad news today, and the image presidency seriously now moving to the election period by next year. And for them to the people, if you can't secure them in the country they are in, fear come to our country every day because the news that is split on the security. So we have to do everything disposal. The take its decision on the issue of state police, even local government said we need some people say they will cast the governor will criticize public government. The governor is the chief security officer of the state. Reflected mandates. And when this thing reflects in the document on our practice it, realism we are practicing, how should 9 states have their own security at minimal stage? The issue of active than we have now, but the government refuses to carry like AK-47 is subjugated arms that are discriminate. When we having a modern weapon, AK-47 machine gun, okay.
So it does appear that we have lost the area on Okankanfo there on this. There's been a technical problem. I will be looking forward to reconnecting with him, but the conversation continues to happen as to how it is that we can, wake up the security network, particularly at the grassroots level. He's been saying that there have been conversations or attempts at conversation with the state and federal governments, but it doesn't look like there's been a lot of traction in that regard. Well, we'll look to see how we can reconnect with Are and ask him a few questions, especially with regards to state police, which is one of the options that is being considered right now, especially in the wake of this latest attack on Oyo State. Are, it appears that you're back.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can hear me. Sorry, your network went off briefly. I do know, I think you were mentioning something along the lines of state police. I do not know if you also think that would be one way to go to be able to help solve this problem in Nigeria in general, and particularly in Yoruba land.
State police with the collaboration with the private group we have. State police. They are running from state police. You are compounding on the problem. Insecurity, giving us a signal that you are not serious with the insecurity. Have the responsibility to, likewise, federal government have the responsibility to save life and property. Government in charge of grassroots. The issue of security is local. The issue of security is local. And if you can't allow the local government and state government to proliferate, there is something to it. The issue of the thing.
So do you believe then that instead of state police, we should have community police? Is that what you're proposing?
Community police was reflecting in the Nigerian police was like an info beyond the police that were pronounced by the federal police. We need is even You don't use local state police. We need a because the security is local. What now when you in the local when the news just drop out with in Badon, we heard that the issue in Oriri local government in Obomosh that share by Kwara State. And you know what happened in Kwara State? Community have been affected by insecurity. I believe this criminal move to come and cause this out in Oyo State. And I believe that if the security agents, the case, these people that have been captive in Kwara can still hold in Oyo State. The infiltration came serious. We have to see community police with arms, not by info. A community police on informants. The issue of informant, the level of crime stage using some informant, information only. We need policing. Either by the local, supervised by the governor of
mo ṣe APC mọ bíi ti báwo ọmọ wàhálà ti wà báyìí all I say this is APC against APC I join definitely mo ṣe báwo ó ti dáa.
Major stakeholders in the All Progressives Congress slugged it out during the primaries on Monday for senatorial tickets in Delta Central. The incumbent, Senator Ede Dafinone, clinched the party's senatorial ticket, defeating his predecessor and former Deputy Senate President, Senator Obi Agege. Joining us now on the show to discuss the APC primaries and the conduct of the process is Senator Ede Dafinone, Senator representing Delta Central District. Good morning and huge congratulations to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Good morning, Dr. Batty. Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Bimba and Anoche.
All right, thank you. Now, you just defeated Senator Ovie Omoagege, your predecessor, and, a former Deputy Senate President. We all know he's a political heavyweight. That's a significant statement. What do you think went wrong for him, and what did you do right to earn such overwhelming support from delegates?
Thank you very much. First of all, I think I should thank my party and the leaders of the party, especially our governor, His Excellency Sharifa Barori, for the support given through the process of the primaries. Let me say that the process was free, fair, and transparent. But when you ask what went right and what went wrong, I want to take us back to 2023, where I participated in the elections for the Senate. And out of the 8 local governments that make up Delta Central, I won in 5 local governments. The Deputy President of the Senate ran for governor at that time and won in just 4 of the local governments of Delta Central. Roll forward to 2025, where our governor announces that the party, members of the PDP are moving across to our party, the APC. At that time, myself and many leaders of the APC welcomed the governor into the party. Senator Omar Agege refused to acknowledge the governor as the leader of the party and stayed away from that process. So for the last 12 months, myself and many others in the APC have familiarized ourselves with those who came to the party. We have gotten to know them, broken bread with them, attended meetings in order to build the party. Through that process, the former Deputy President of the Senate stayed away. And it is now time for primaries. And he feels that the small faction of the party that was with him in the old APC will deliver him at the primaries. It cannot happen. The party is made up of both the former PDP members and the old APC members, of which I also have a significant support base. So his result of yesterday is really a reflection of the fact that he stayed away from the new party and left the space empty, which, of course, myself and others have taken up the space in order to become candidates of the party in the primaries. I should also say that I've been involved in the politics of the state from 1998. I was a founding member of the PDP and first contested primaries for the Senate in 2006 and again in 2011. So I'm not new to politics, and I have played politics in the PDP, in DPP, which changed to the Labour Party after some time, and then APC from about 2014. So in the elections of 2023, I came into that space with support across all the parties that were in the field in Delta State at that time. Together, I must say, with the reputation and name left by my late father, who was also senator for the same region, that helped me to gain access to my people, gain their support. And on top of that, I think I also present myself to my people as somebody who is accessible. My phone number is literally shared on billboards across Delta Central, and have an open door policy both in my home and the office, inviting my people to come to me with their problems for me to solve. And I say that a little. Hello?
Senator, yeah, if you could just conclude on your thoughts, quickly.
Yes, so just to close that off, I say they should come to me with their problems for me to solve, but of course, I can't solve every problem, but I do try and solve as many as possible for all my people. So I'll stop there so as you can...
Okay, Senator, 85 watts, 8 local governments. Now, the report out there says you won with over 116,000 votes to Senator Omar Agege's 3,643 votes. But Senator Omar Agege says, no, that result is not correct. Rather, that he won decisively. That's his word, decisively. Now, what do you say in response to that? Because obviously, he has rejected the result that was announced, and he says he won decisively.
Well, I've given you the background to how the result could show such a wide margin. He distanced himself from the party, and this is a party that he expects to come out and support him at the primaries. On the 26th of April, I declared my intention to run again for this position. And I invited the party leaders, the party members, to my declaration. On that day, we had local government council chairmen from all the local governments, party leaders from all the local governments. It was a who's who of politics in Delta Central. There was, I mean, we were counting those who could not make it. I mean, on one hand, that declaration showed the support my party was willing to give me for this position. Senator Obi did not consult with the party, did not visit leaders of the party, did not engage at any stage. In fact, when we were doing our congresses, he ran parallel congresses, showing a complete disregard for the party structure, a complete disregard for the party members, and therefore, the distance he put between himself and the party is what has led to the result today. Now you say he has announced himself as the winner, and I've seen some of these publications, but in all the publications, you will see that he never mentions any figures. He doesn't say how many votes he got or where he won or where he feels the process went wrong. He comes to the table with general statements that he won. No details, no numbers, no facts, no videos, no pictures, just a statement that he won. This is not the way he should go about it. I have, in my statement at Ugeli yesterday, called on him to join forces with the rest of the party. We are all APC. This is not a war. This is party politics. The losers should be welcomed back to the party in order to build the party for a stronger tomorrow.
Step in just for the interest of time. Rufai and I will ask our questions back to back. My question to you is ultimately that, well, it seems that, when you speak about his his activity doing parallel, meetings and so forth, it almost fits into the narrative that you were an anointed consensus candidate that was used to ensure that Omoagege doesn't clinch this ticket. So just clarify that, because that narrative almost goes to show that there was an anointed consensus candidate created to ensure that Omoagege didn't clinch his ticket. Rufai.
Okay, real quickly. I'm just curious about the number at which you won. I mean, what's the number again? How many votes did you get?
116,252.
116,000 you got, 111,262. But in 2023, when you were elected in the general elections, you only got 109,000 votes to win that general elections. How come you got more votes within your party primaries than what you got in the elections in 2023, the general elections? I mean, I'm just quite curious.
Okay, let me take the question on being anointed first. There's actually absolutely nothing wrong with political party members coming together to say that they have a preferred candidate. I have spent the last 1 year going around the new members of the party, going around the old members of the party, to let them know what I've been doing in the Senate, to let them have a report, to offer services to all my constituents. The problem with the statement made about being anointed is that you suggest that it is created. My position in the party is not created. As I said earlier, I've been in politics in Delta State since 1998. And having played different roles, having contested several times, I think I'm recognized as somebody who not only is a politician, but I've focused my political activity at the grassroots. I have a foundation in Delta State that has empowered over 2,000 people, training young men and women in various skill acquisition tasks. So I'm not new in politics. I've been in service now for coming up to 3 years. And the anointing by the party is a reflection of the work I've done with the party and the popularity that I have today. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being anointed. Coming to the figures, you say, comparing the general election of 2023 with the figures for the primaries. You talk only of the figures I had in the election. There were other candidates in the election that also got votes. So the figure you are giving for the primaries doesn't compare favorably with the total votes cast at the Senate elections in 2023. Senator Amori also scored nearly 100,000 votes, and there was a candidate also from the Labour Party as well that was also in the field. So I don't think it's fair to make that comparison. It is, yes, we've had a significant party registration process since that time. Also remember that we have had the coming together of the members of the PDP with our party, the APC. So that has swelled the number of members. We've also computerized the membership database of the APC since that time. So there was a keen interest in participation, which is reflected in the numbers. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks so
Well,
much,
thank you very much, Senator Daphne Nune.
Well, thank you very much for watching, guys. In closing, I think this is the top story of the day. Not yet confirmed yet. Justice circulating around. We'll just wait and see how NDC confirms this, and then big news media outlets actually display or talk about this event. Hopefully, it's true, and then it comes true, because right now the only viable option is this man here, Mr. Peter Gregory Obi. So let's wait and see how this whole thing unfold. Thank you very much for joining. Have a good day. See you around again. Bye.